Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Lowery, Assistant Curator at MOCA. And in this time of social distancing and staying at home, I've been spending a lot of time with the permanent collection. One of the artists I'm really interested in right now and thinking about a lot is John Boskovich. Boscovich was a consummate Los Angeles artist. He was born and raised here in LA. He received his BFA and MFA from Cal Arts, where he studied with John Baldessari and was part of a group of students that included his friend Meg Cranston, people like Stephen Prina and Cindy Bernard and Larry Johnson. So he was part of a cohort of conceptual artists who came out of Cal Arts in the 1980s. And he was a great one, somewhat underappreciated or underrecognized, and somewhat unusual, actually, for the way that he brought his personal life and emotions to bear in his work, exploring the joy and the pain of life, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, spirituality, art, foods, human communion, and loss. So we're fortunate at MOCA to have a number of works by Boscovich in the collection, but the one in particular that I'm thinking about has a connection to another work that he created that was one of his great life's works. The work I'm talking about is the It series. It's a series of 38 color Polaroid photographs mounted and framed that he created in the mid 90s and shot all in his Hancock Park home. So here's one of them. Keep Your Hands to Yourselves, an emblematic work from the series. He created thousands of Polaroids in his home, and only a select few made it into the series. Others were used for other series, but all of these pictures were of friends, objects in the home, television screens, all an effort to document his environment in minute and fragmentary detail, following perhaps the course of an evening, or in a larger sense, the course of a life. He used the Polaroids because he thought it was the least artist-like medium, and he also really prized the immediacy. He wanted to get at the immediate and the real in documenting his existence and that of his friends. Boscovich was, of course, making these works against the backdrop of the AIDS crisis and had lost many friends to the disease. He had a friend who was on his deathbed and was given by somebody well-meaning the gift of a self-help book called Love Lines, Affirmations for Mind, Body, and Soul. And this was basically a book of positive self-statements of the likes of, I embrace and accept my body as it is. So Boscovich thought that this was a particularly problematic and perverse gift for a dying man. And after his friend's death, he took the book and repurposed it and took the aphorisms for use in this series. So what he does is take a Polaroid, combine it with one of the snippets from this book, and add then a title. And the titles can be kind of the linchpins of these works. The title speaks to the tension between the image and the text and the discrepancy, or antagonism even between the elements of the work. So in this case, he plays the text from Love Lines, I am renewed and refreshed by all of my actions, against a picture of three figurines of Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction and creation, and titles the whole thing, Keep Your Hands to Yourselves. So here he's kind of reading the renewal and refreshment of the self-help text as a kind of destruction, potentially Shiva style, something he wants nothing to do with. And so in his title is admonishing the gods that they better keep their distance. These titles could also be dedicated to friends or speak to his current mental state. They're very personalized, and in the way he personalizes them, they're quite beautiful. They're almost diaristic, even. For example, this work, Yoda, Chris Wilder's dog from his mother's estate, with its picture of the dog and the caption, "I am the most important person in my life." Or this work, Kaddish, First Bloom of Sunflower, a year after his death, which is a reference to his lover, Stephen Arabino, who died in 1995. And here the ironic caption is, "I radiate joy and happiness." Boscovich really had not felt comfortable addressing the AIDS crisis directly in his artwork, so he instead approached it through interiority, through minute details, through the personal, as in the IT series. But in the mid 90s, he took that idea to a remarkable new level with the creation of the Bosco Studio, which was a transformation of the house and studio that he rented in Hancock Park. Every piece of furniture, every wall paint, every lamp, every object, every artwork in this house was part of the work Bosco Studio. And the Bosco Studio's rooms were each designated in different ways. The living room was the psycho salon. The dining room was the mess hall. Hell's Kitchen was the kitchen, of course. The master bedroom was the prince's chamber. And the millennial hallway was a hallway full of clocks at different times. And at the end of the hallway was a painting with the text, "One day at a time," the famous AA slogan. The IT series hung actually in a breakfast area called the Rude Awakening Coffee Nook. So here's an image of Psycho Salon recreated, and other parts of the Bosco Studio recreated in a fantastic show at the Los Angeles Gallery O-Town House just a few months ago, which was a fantastic opportunity, really special, to actually enter into this world. Here's what Boscovich said about it. "The art lies in the ensuing theatrics. Its highly fetishized design concept recalls a Fassbinder set where no movie ever occurred. But nevertheless, drama flourished abundantly." He thought of Bosco Studio less as an installation and more as a Fluxus-like project where there was a non-narrative structure and objects could come in and out at will. It was his retreat into a kind of a fluid dandy decadence, he thought. It was an incredibly imaginative space, a project about art as life and life as art. Of course, again, through a deeply personal lens on conceptualism. And thinking about domestic spaces as spaces of creativity, as spaces of boundless possibility, especially when transformed so holistically by an artist like John Boskovich, who was working in the midst of unbelievable loss, gives me a lot to reflect on right now.